Welcome to our home for the next 2 nights. So the main reason why we're staying here is because we're converting a Skoolie of our own. So I had the really idea to stay in a Skoolie Airbnb and get some design ideas. So let's go. So the first thing that I want to talk about is this door. Not a lot of people do this, but I've seen a decent amount that will, where they will add a home door. I think it's super cute, even though it's not something me and Kevin want to do. I think if you can make it work, just like the way this bus did, it definitely does. And I feel like it really adds a nice homey vibe to it. So I really like this addition. It's really cool. And I'm not too sure if we're allowed to go up here, so I'm going to mention it now, but there is a roof rack over here, and low-key it kind of makes me want one, so just letting you know, Kevin. No, I'm just kidding. So what I really love about this, and I think we should definitely add to our own Skoolie, are these welcome rugs, because literally as soon as you step in, you can wipe your feet off, which I found out staying in here that that's definitely an important thing, because if you don't wipe your feet off or take your shoes off in the front, you're definitely going to be tracking stuff in. So I really like this addition. It's very nice. And now to the cockpit. So what I really love is that they kept so many original things. They even kept the mirror, which is super nice. Yeah, it used to be up here, but obviously with the curtains they had to move it. But I really like that they kept it here. That's super nice. And yeah, you can basically just kind of sit here, pretend you're still driving it, even though it doesn't move anymore. But yeah, literally everything over here is still original, still here, like all the buttons and literally everything that would have been here if you were still driving it. So I really love that. And over here, I really like what they've done in terms of making use of storage. So I've noticed this is also another popular thing that people do with their Skoolies, is kind of add just like a nice little bookshelf and just a place to put, you know, books, games, all kinds of stuff like that. But yeah, also before I forget, I really love the addition of these hooks, because if you're coming in and you might have something like wet or just anything you might not want to bring into the bus, I really like having this idea. I'm definitely taking notes with that. All right, and before we leave the area, I do want to point out this table over here. It's super cool. I've noticed people either add tables here or they'll add a shoe rack over here. Sometimes they'll make this a shoe rack too, but I really like this because it kind of gives us an idea on what we want to do, because we definitely want to add something similar to this but make it like a shoe rack. So I really love having this here. It's also nice to like put your keys or like your cups or something like that. So I really love this addition. And yeah, we just kind of been throwing our shoes on the other side there. Like I said, I think with our bus, we would kind of add the shoe rack here because it just kind of makes the most sense. Plus, you're not tracking in dirt, so. All right, and over here, we have our nice couch. Just a nice place to lounge, and it's also right by the driver's seat, which I really like because you could just kind of talk to the driver. It's super cozy. I love these pillows. And over here, unfortunately, we couldn't use this because it's way too hot, but I've noticed this isn't a super common thing in Skoolies. I've noticed that not a lot of people use them. It probably depends on, you know, where you're staying, where you're traveling. I'm not sure why it's not common. I don't know if it's sort of like a safety thing or whatever, but super cool addition though. And over here we have our dining table. Super cool. I also love that they kept this original seat. That was a nice little touch. There's definitely a lot of originality throughout the bus, so I'll make sure to cover all that. But yeah, you can just kind of sit here across from each other and, you know, eat your breakfast and dinner. And I also think this is a nice addition if you want to kind of use this as an office space too. So I really love that too, especially if you're working from home. And before I forget, this bus has a decent amount of storage on both sides. These are kind of more of like an open concept kind of layout. I noticed that these are actually pretty popular to do. Although they're not a huge favorite of mine, I think they did make it look really nice, so yeah. And now on to probably one of my most favorite parts of the bus, which is the kitchen. I don't know if you noticed or not, but this is actually not a typical kitchen that you see in most Skoolies. Most Skoolies have that nice open concept layout, but the main reason why we're staying here is because of this L-shaped kitchen. But yeah, there's plenty of storage. There's plenty of places to put all of your like cups and, you know, to put other things like pans and cutting boards. And I'm not going to deal with this because this drawer is kind of weird, but yeah, basically plenty of storage to put anything you need. And yeah, over here we have just a nice basic simple gas stove and gas oven. And another thing which we really want, which is the nice deep sink that you normally see with with most buses. And lastly, I will say, even though I'm not super huge on the dark wood, I actually do like that they added in some of it, just like little hints of it, because I feel like it doesn't make the bus look too dark. So that's definitely something to think about. But yeah, I really do like this color pattern here. It looks really nice. And lastly, before we leave the kitchen, we have our fridge. You can definitely tell there used to be a bigger fridge in here. I know they're working on replacing it and stuff like that, but still everything that we need. Now as we go further back, we have plenty of storage once again. Okay, so this is where we have our plates. Again, another open concept kind of thing, which again I've noticed is very popular in Skoolies. Again, not my favorite, but I still really like it. And as we go further back, we have plenty of closet storage. I definitely don't think we're gonna have this much in our bus. Probably maybe like half of this, but this is definitely like a lot. It kind of makes sense though, because as you can see over here, there are bunk beds in here. So I could definitely see why they have such extra closet storage. It's definitely a big thing when you're living in a bus. That's really nice to have. But this is one thing I was actually pretty surprised about, was that this is a 30-foot school bus and this has bunks, which surprised me because I've noticed most bunks are usually in the 40-foot school buses. So props to them for being able to fit this here. I think that's really cool too. And on to our last room, which is the bedroom. As you can see, it is super cozy, super nice. And because we have that nice L shape, it separates the kitchen from the bedroom. So it really just makes it feel like a home. And especially if there's more than one person living in the bus, that's definitely a plus to have those separate rooms. Yeah, pretty basic. You got a nice little table here. I guess this would kind of be your nightstand. And because I'm super short, I do have to use a stool to get up here. But yeah, I think this is a twin bed. We're definitely gonna have something bigger in our bus, but it's still super cozy. It's a super comfortable bed. And the main reason why I had to use the stool is because this is a lifted bed, which is a super common thing to have in a Skoolie. It actually allows for you to have more storage under the bed, which is super nice. So even though I'm short, I will definitely take that compromise for more storage. But yeah, everything is just pretty basic over here. We have nice little cubbies, so we could like put a water bottle over here or a phone. Speaking of, we have plenty of areas over here to charge everything we need. And I think over here we also did as well, where the nightstand is. Oh yeah, and before I forget, because I mentioned originality, this is actually one of many. I have no idea what these are called, but typically when you get a Skoolie before you convert it, these are like everywhere throughout the bus. And I really love that they decided to keep these. So yeah, it's just another one of those things, you know, when you're converting a bus, it's just super nice to have something that reminds you of what the bus was before you converted it. And yeah, that about concludes it for our Skoolie tour. I feel like this was just such a good idea to do, especially considering that we're converting our own Skoolie. And if you're thinking of converting one yourself, I definitely recommend staying in someone else's first, because I don't know about you, but I'm a super visual person, so being able to see an actual Skoolie in person just really helped me brainstorm ideas better and just kind of get a feel for what it's going to be like in the future. If you liked this video, I would really appreciate your support by giving it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye!